too small, I got big dreams.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Pun Fun, where we have fun with the puns. My name is Ryan, and we have a doozy for you today. So if you haven't seen episode 1 of the Marvel series Ms. Marvel, please be sure to do so, as there are major spoiler alerts ahead. And yeah, I mean, let's just get into it. So first of all, we're going to talk about the villains, or potential villains. So one of them that we've seen a few images of, there's that it's a bird, it's a plane. So you see a cockatoo, you see, Carol Danvers' jet, and you also see, Captain Marvel as the reveal instead of Superman, of course, which is a play off, Superman's iconic phrase. Now, the bird itself, which being a cockatoo, is actually part villain. So there is an episode, the series. So we kind of get a hint from issue 5, but issue 6, 7, and there's like at least 5 or 6 issues where there is partial DNA from Thomas Edison, which is taken away and is used to recreate him because they think, his genius we brought back to life. And accidentally there's some cockatoo DNA that gets mixed into that, and it creates the Inventor. Now, as we've mentioned in a previous video, I think about 2 months ago, this character won't be fully fleshed as a giant cockatoo. I don't think so. I hope it doesn't. So what is his goal? Basically, it was to capture children and use them a la Matrix. So, have them be these human batteries to generate energy. I guess it is a green and sustainable solution. However, I mean, it's so wrong in so many levels. Anyways, again, he wasn't a major villain. It's one of her first villains, so maybe it's a nod just to the fact of that. However, given that there's really 2 obvious Easter eggs, it could be a red herring, or it could be somebody that they're gonna set up that does something similar in terms that they're gonna create maybe a social, following, have a big social influence, and guide them towards who knows what, maybe to. I don't know, maybe just to create a cult or create. Well, we're gonna see where or how they're gonna, turn this. Maybe it's gonna be child labor, and they're just gonna turn a generator and power the city. I have no idea. You would think Tony already, came up with a solution with, his sustainable energy. Anyways, just to say that there is a villain named the Inventor, and he is, part cockatoo and part Thomas Edison, and I would love to see a rendition of him, especially because there's not much development in the comic books themselves. They can definitely utilize and mold them as they would like, especially in this new universe. Anyways, so other than that, talking about birds with big Easter eggs, one of the biggest ones we've had so far, or what we think is there's a book called the Peter Quill Starboy storybook. Now, obviously, there's multiple layers to this, and we're gonna crack each layer. So first of all, of course, Peter Quill is Star-Lord, and there's a running gag where basically they get it wrong, and maybe they call him Star Prince. However, Starboy is also a song sung by The Weeknd, right? So he is the artist that sang the opening credits, and is kind of the inspiration for the rest of the episode. Blinding lights and glaring lights all through. However, Starboy The Weeknd actually has his own comic book as well. So he also is featured within a Marvel series called Starboy. And I don't think there's going to be any kind of, mishmash, or we're going to see The Weeknd within the MCU. However, I thought that was very cool to have such a, super layered Easter egg, in a way you get to see it. And I'm pretty sure it's intentional that you would use the word Starboy amongst anything else, especially having a collaboration with Weeknd. So there is also a placard at the school that has basically anybody and everybody that had to do with the creation of Ms. Marvel. So you have the co-creator and writer for Ms. Marvel, which is G. Willow Wilson, which we also get a nod within the show itself, having the principal name Mr. Wilson, and not the Dennis the Menace type, because that's maybe his father. So this episode is loaded with comic book covers. Sometimes you'll see them as posters, sometimes you'll see them as drawings. It's even in the screen title at the very end as well. At the Avengers Con, there's a few of them here and there and everywhere. And speaking of Avenger Con, it's actually taking place of Captain America's birthplace. Well, not Steve Rogers, but actually Captain America, where he gets created. And it's actually the base where he trained. So I thought that was very cool to have it all, tie in and come, go full circle. We also hear the song where when he's fighting Hitler and doing his whole propaganda played also during the Avengers comic. I thought was a cool homage to the Cap himself. They really love this Captain America. Besides having Broadway shows and Statue of Liberties, with the shield. They really, homing it in as an iconic symbol that he is. So here's another Easter egg that we see on her own channel, which pays homage to the same comic book that we actually see the Inventor in, where she gets to meet Wolverine. So I don't think we're gonna see Wolverine in the series. However, there's been other instances throughout the MCU that we've had calls or call back to Wolverine. So one in Madripoor where we see Patch, which was obviously a bar that he worked in with the Hulk. But yeah, I mean, it'd be cool if there was an introduction to him via this, or maybe just a nod. But what I'm trying to get to is that he basically meets up with Miss Marvel within the series because he's avoiding the romantic vacation that Emma Frost and Cyclops is on. Whereas in this situation, the title for one of her videos is the romantic, getaway or vacation with Ant-Man and the Wasp. And this series is actually very heavy on Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like, Ant-Man is everywhere, and even if you see him as Giant Man, and you'll see him. Anyways, what's great about that is that herself is able to shrink and also expand, so embiggen, and become this giant Miss Marvel, which we kind of see in the end credits, outlined throughout the city. That might actually be something that we go through in the end, because the Inventor actually creates this kind of like mech version of himself, like mecha suit cockatoos, and she actually has to become this embiggened version of herself and have to fight it. If that's the case, it'd be really cool to have a kaiju fight within the MCU. And if it's not, I mean, hey, it's there's so much things you can tie into it, but her knowing Ant-Man and his capabilities, and maybe getting a lesson in the 1-2 punch, I think would be great, because she is definitely a fan of Scott, and I'm sure Scott would be a big fan of her once he gets to meet her. So speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, we also have Mr. Tree, which obviously is Groot. Scott obviously is telling the story via his podcast of what happened that day. Thor, when he came through the portal, he doesn't say, "Oh, hey, this is Groot." He says, "Oh, this is Tree," right? And this is Rabbit. So by all means, the Earth knows this person, or Scott knows this person as the Tree, or Mr. Tree, and he definitely pities the foos that don't realize that his name is Groot. So let's get into Kamala's head. So in her imagination, she pictures everything going right, and everything basically screws up. That's kind of how the comics also go along. She has a very vivid imagination and believes everything will work out. However, there's always a hiccup here and there. Now, in this situation, when she's at Avengers Con in her head, what's really cool is that her friend Bruno is actually dressed up as Tony Stark. However, we realize that he is basically giving a lot of time and effort towards her costume. And he just ended up wearing a lab coat and saying, "Hey, I'm the Hulk," which, by the way, it's very cool that we saw that her dad also Hulk out. So shout out to dads that want to go with their kids and Hulk out. By all means, we're all for it, especially with Father's Day coming up soon. Hey, now you also have Black Widow being honored amongst Iron Man, now that Hawkeye came forward and explained that no, she didn't just die by the hands of Ronan or whatever. It's actually by sacrificing herself for the great of the cause, like to fight Thanos. Now, another Easter egg pertaining to Hawkeye is Trust-a-Bro. So you do get to see a Trust-a-Bro truck. So will we see the Tracksuit Mafia in this series? I mean, if there was in the end credits, there's going to be a tie-in at some point. I mean, the end credits is usually, a nice mapping, and it's only at the very end you understand, like, oh, everything really does have its place and, a reason. So the Tracksuit Mafia will definitely be into it. So now there is, a bit of not controversy, but people that are either against or for the whole fact that she has this new abilities with the photon rather than having just the stretchy, embiggen powers, if you will. Now, because we have Mr. Fantastic coming up soon, well, Fantastic Four with Mr. Fantastic, who also has this, stretchy powers, it's going to be kind of weird to have this whole team with two characters that are able to stretch. Now, having her not only be able to stretch and embiggen with that kind of photon energy, she's also able to, step or use the power in order to propel herself. So, able to step on and have it be a solidified item. So, I mean, it's definitely cool. Something that's definitely new. It's gonna definitely differentiate and give her the step up, if you will, versus Mr. Fantastic. And yeah, we still haven't seen the full potential to this. Would she be able to also navigate in between, universes, or in between? I guess, yeah, like how Monica Rambeau is able to go into the Pocket Universe because of her powers. Would she be able to also now, as we've seen her flip in and out of a dimension that we're not familiar with? Is that maybe the negative zone because of the bracelet? That's maybe... Anyways, we'll get to see that further down the line. And yeah, we'll definitely, keep you guys informed. Now, to wrap things up, we're going to talk about, the episode itself. I thought it was just great. I mean, especially for first episode, sometimes you're kind of on the fence. I thought, like, right out the gates, it was fantastic. The actress herself, so Iman, really got the character down. Being a fan herself, and then... getting into the whole Marvel universe is exactly what this character calls for, and she definitely has, that subtle, not nuances, but yeah, she definitely nailed the role. So I'm super excited to see what we have going forward. I will say, however, the CG, for example, the photon, like, I don't know, the crystallized thing, it's kind of weird, especially for like something from Marvel. It definitely looks like a photoshopped element. I don't know if that's like like on purpose because of all of the like designing aesthetics and choices they've made before. So we'll see how they evolve that as we go along. I think that's my only negative take back. Everything else has been great. The music selection has been great, and also the representation, I mean, is definitely spot on. I mean, it's not too heavy handed. It's just, as it is, as you would see, everybody in everyday life. And especially, like, for example, being a West Indian, having your mother pack, a crap load of food before anybody leaves the house. It's exactly what what was represented right there. When example, when Bruno was leaving, she knew exactly, like, oh yeah, this is this, and for yourself, because you like the spicy one, this was made a little bit more spicy for yourself. Anyways, I just felt the love for sure throughout this episode. And I'm definitely excited to see where we're going with this. And we'll definitely keep you guys in the loop. So if you've enjoyed this episode, we definitely suggest you hit that like button. If you're new to the channel or haven't done it yet, we would suggest that you hit also the subscribe button. I mean, it's right there below. That's definitely one way to show your love for the channel. But also, you stay on touch of anything and everything, regarding comic books and what we see throughout these shows. Usually, we bring a little bit more of insight for you, so you stay ahead of the game. And we also bring a lot of the artists that create these comic books onto our show. So if you're a fan of that, that's also something you may want to check out as well. Now, speaking of which, we have some cool interviews coming up, and we're definitely going to check out episode 2 and break it down for you soon. But you guys take it easy. What are your thoughts about episode 1? Was there anything that really caught your attention? Definitely put it in the comments below. Please keep it positive. I mean, so far, it's been overwhelming. I mean, I think Rotten Tomatoes is like 95%. So, I mean, you can definitely see the love for Miss Marvel and also the whole show itself. But definitely put your thoughts in the comments below. You guys take it easy. Peace.